What's going on, guys? So back at you guys. Well, starting out something new, actually, that I hope you guys will enjoy. This is UnOrdinary chapter episode reviews and discussions. So, this is something I've wanted to do for a while, but I unfortunately have not. But I want to kind of just have a little video discussion after each episode airs and comes out, and we could talk about it and go into more in-depth discussion about everything that I don't do in the regular stream reactions. So today we're going to be starting off with episode 248, the trip to the Rowden amusement park. Did it actually have a name? Rowden Park is just what it's called. So chapter starts out really kind of on a big note, actually. It starts out with Terence. Actually, is this where the previous chapter 277 ended? I will get better at this as we go along. So chapter 247. Yeah, no. Okay, this is not where the last chapter ended. So yeah. So chapter 248 starts out with Terence contacting his associates at Spectre, telling him that John was at the resort last night, but he was still skeptical because he requested that someone from Spectre come from Spectre to Rowden to investigate whether or not John has actually left. Now, I thought that could have been something like, checking the hotel, make sure that, he's actually left there and not staying in one of the rooms, or, just look around town, stuff like that. But actually, as we would find out later in the episode, he did actually call for backup in the park itself. So, starts out, after that, we see Sarah walking around. She was on her way last episode to go meet up with Evie, Roland, and Terence. Roland and Rowden. I didn't think that would actually be hard to differentiate, but it actually kind of is. Anyway, so she's going on her way to meet up with them because she is in charge of keeping an eye on Terence this trip, as Arlo is keeping a track on Remy and John is set with Blake. So Sarah, walking around the park, she notices that John is sticking out like a sore thumb. So she sees him with his outfit and his hat on. So, she's just kind of like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why are you here? Like, what's up with this hat? This looks ridiculous. And she's like, and John's just like, it helps me like blend in, And she's like, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And John just tells her like, hey, it's worked for me before. She's like, when? He's like, exactly. Anyway, so Sarah just quickly meets up with John and she's about to leave again, but John realizes that Sarah's getting colder like she used to be. She's getting distant. She was getting, kind of high strung like she used to be back before they were friends when they first met in John's first year at Wellston. So John did something. Uru did something in terms of writing, which caused John to do something which is actually kind of risky, in my opinion. So Uru gave us something that we were long overdue for basically since early season 1, I would say, where John and Sarah just getting to see John and Sarah hang out, actually just having fun together. There were a few moments throughout the series, but for the first half of season 2, that was non-existent. Ever since John came back to Wellston as a new person, that's also been irrelevant because Sarah's been busy with Spectre. But also, since Seraphina's suspension, there hasn't really been a moment where both of them were just, having fun, because John was always on edge after the Arlo incident. So John, being a Chad friend, he tells Sarah, yo, let's just hang out for a bit. Just real quick, just a few rides. Let's just hang out. We'll do something. Let's have some fun. We're here at an amusement park. We're here at an amusement park. Anyway, but Sarah is, rightfully so, I think, in my opinion. She's rightfully so skeptical about whether or not she should be very relaxed right now. So, so, she tells her, like, they could be watching us right now. And to her credit, Sarah actually was right. They were trying to keep an eye on her. So, John convinces her to, take some edge off. They'll just go on a few rides. No problem. No biggie. So they do. They have some fun. It's awesome seeing the two of them together finally after so long, just having fun without like Remy, Arlo, or anyone else around. So that was dope. It was really fun to see John and Seraphina just being themselves together again. But they do go on the Ferris wheel, and they do have a heart-to-heart where they kind of just talk about everything. And Sarah just tells her, like, Sarah does just reassure John, I wasn't trying to keep you out. It's just, she was very concerned about his safety because this is the organization that took away her ability. And they don't exactly like John. John is seen as kind of a threat to them. He is kind of on the shit list of Spectre. So, but in that, John just reassures Sarah, like, hey, like, I get it, but you don't have to worry about this on your own anymore. Like, we're gonna help you out of this. Anyway, so they go back. Sarah goes to meet up with Spectre, and she tells John, please be careful. And she heads off to speak with Terence, Evie, and Roland. Meanwhile, John gets a call from Arlo, and basically he's like, oh yeah, like, I'm on my way. You guys still at the obelisk, right? And he's just like, that was 2 hours ago, bro. Like, get the fuck over here right now. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, so Arlo goes ahead with that, and just really quick fun fact. While Arlo was on the phone with John, we just see a quick shot of Remy, Blyke, and Ison on the carousel. It was adorable. I fucking loved it. Anyway, John heads on his way. He rushes over to meet up with them momentarily. But we did see a person colored in the background. He had a black sweater on. He had like short-ish blue hair, kind of similar to Holden's hair color, actually. Keeping an eye on John from the back. Anyway, it's at that point that we see Sarah meet up with Evie, Roland, and Terence. And it's during there that, Evie and Roland go on to get a table for the two of them, and Terence says that him and Seraphina will get the burgers. Now, this is the most interesting part of this chapter, I would say. I was worried that Uru was just going to leave us on, like on a cliffhanger. Like, we see the person who's, like, keeping an eye on John, and, like, that's like, ooh, mysterious, what's going to happen next? And I was worried that we were going to be hit with that to be continued, but we weren't. Uru pulled through, and she gave us the conversation between Seraphina and Terence. And this is definitely the most interesting conversation in recent chapters, I would say. So, Seraphina's like, hey, we need to talk, Terence. And he's just like, yeah, we do. You and John were spotted here earlier. And Sarah's just like, crap. And Sarah's just like, crap. She's like, hey, I had no control over that, blah, blah, blah. And Terence is just like, hey, like, you knew he was here. Like, that looks bad on you. Like, we're trying to test you right now, but, like, you're proving not to be loyal right now. So, anyway. So, after that, Sarah kind of tells, like, Terence kind of, like, lays it on thick, kind of. He's like, hey, like, were you worried we were going to come after your friends? Like, do you not trust us that much? And Sarah's just like, yo, you guys are holding my ability hostage. Like, you expect me to believe that you're not going to go after anyone else? And Terence is just kind of like, and this is really interesting because it's something I noticed. I'm going to need to look back on more examples, but the examples that do come to memory for me right now when Uru does this type of thing, it's usually in a positive light. So Sarah tells Terence that, hey, you guys are holding my ability hostage. Like, I really don't have a reason to trust you guys right now. And they're just like, that's how you see us. Like, that's how you view us. Like, I get it. and Terence bows to Serafina. And it's really interesting because Uru put this shot of Terence like bowing, like respectfully bowing to Serafina in a completely white background. And the only time I remember Uru doing something similar to this is when a moment between characters is sincere and genuine. The biggest example I can think of is the climax, the end to the fight between Sarah and John, where like Sarah breaks John free. I'm pretty sure there was a solid white background there. Let's check chapter 224 real quick. Yeah. Yeah, when Sarah broke John out of the barrier, there was a white background and everything. Anyway, so was Terence being genuine? That's the biggest question, because he basically tells Serafina like, hey, like, we're not the bad guys. Or how does he word it again? Like, the incident with your ability loss was a miscommunication on our part. We don't have the ability to, no pun intended, we don't have the means to restore your power permanently at the moment, but you're a powerful asset to us and we want your cooperation. And then basically tells her like, hey, we're not trying to be your enemies. We understand that earning your trust is going to be difficult. Anyway, and Terence like just ends off telling her like, hey, we're not trying to like stress you out or anything. We're just like, you know, like we're not trying to stress you out. Like, we're not trying to make this difficult for you. Like, we just want to know we can trust you. And he leaves to go get the food, and he tells her, hey, like, we'll tell you about the mission tomorrow. Like, don't worry. So, was Terence being genuine? Terence is definitely an anomaly in the series. And I say that because just based on what I've read about UnOrdinary, how I've interpreted things throughout the story, there have been quite a few times where Uru has kind of done 180s with certain characters and everything. One of the biggest examples, in my opinion, being Arlo. So is Terence being genuine? Well, we don't know how high of a operative inspector Terence actually is. We do know that he is lower than Layla. We do know that he's higher than Serafina, though. And a miscommunication on Spectre's part with Serafina's ability. I'm inclined to not believe that, because Layla... I got to go back and reread those chapters, but Layla made it clear when she found out that Serafina was a target at all, that she didn't want them tracking her. She wanted Spectre to leave her sister alone. And when she found out that it did happen, she kind of freaked out. And Layla also did bring up there is a lot of discourse in Spectre right now as an organization, based on what certain members and higher ups think should actually be done as opposed to what is being done. Now, in one of the earlier episodes of chapter, I believe, 2, or here in season 2, one of the earlier chapters of part 1, Terence did seemingly get a call from Layla. I'm 90% positive. Uru did make a mistake with the coloring for the bubbles. However, that could be a completely different Spectre higher up that we don't know about, but it most likely was Layla. So we know that Terence, at some point at least, was under Layla's wing, I'll say. It seems like in some capacity she was his direct superior, because she put him in charge of keeping an eye on Sarah. And also I believe he was reporting the files on Remy, Arlo, John, Blake, and Ison to her at Spectre. Now, something I want to talk about briefly. I do think there actually is good grounds for Terence to actually be genuine, because from the very early episodes, Terence was actually kind of a, well, no, not actually, kind of a, he actually was a John fanboy. John saved Terence from Gavin, I think his name was, Stone Skin Boy. He saved Terence from Gavin, and Terence, ran away, like just ran and hide and everything. But that, I think that definitely did speak to Terence. And also, when the Arlo incident happened, Terence was, he was all for, like, hey, like, let's get John to be king. Like, Arlo is actually following John's command now. Like, he's the one, like, John is actually the one pulling the strings at Wellston now. And it seems like Terence thought that John could be a really good asset and a really good ally to have. But then, the truth started to come out about John, and he completely did a 180 on everything. He's like, no, like, John, like, should not be a part of us. Now, I don't know for certain. I can't say for certain. Like, I don't really have evidence either way, but I'm pretty sure Terence was not aware of the attack on Layla and Arlo and Sarah when they met up. But Layla did mention that the person who requested that Serafina be under his wing, Inspector, back in episode 235 when season 2 came back, Layla did mention that he was the one responsible for the attack on Serafina, and he mentioned that he wanted his people to work on Serafina, to be her, like, backup, so to speak. And he was the one who brought up, was he the one who brought up the trip to Rowden Park, actually? Let me double check that. Because it might have been the women, actually. No, it was the woman. Yeah, it was the woman who brought that up. But yes, it was the man with the blondish hair that asked his men to be the ones who looked after Serafina. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not sure who Terence is under directly right now, or if he's just kind of like, getting tossed around, like, hey, like, go work with them, or hey, report to them for a bit. But I do think there is grounds for both Terence to be genuine. Like, he could actually be a pretty good ally to have for the Wellston 6, we'll call them. The Wellston 6. John, Sarah, Arlo, Remy, Blyke, Eisen. But I think there is also good grounds for his suspicion. And it wouldn't be the first time that Uru has changed up a character from what we saw originally. So for now, I'm not really going to say anything on what I do think about Terence. I think that Terence was being genuine, because, like I said, there's the thing with the art panel that Uru showed. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Terence is going to be an ally going forward. Now, he may not be as aware of everything going on in Spectre, just as assumably, Cassandra and Arlo aren't aware of everything going on with the authorities. At least I don't think Cassandra is aware of everything. But yeah, that was the review and discussion for this chapter. Honestly, this chapter was really cool. Again, it was just another talking chapter. Like, I think we've all been expecting, shit to go down at Rowden Park, but it doesn't seem like things actually will, because Terence said that the mission is actually tomorrow, which is really interesting because tomorrow is the day they're leaving Rowden. So are they going to be leaving? Now that I think about it, they might have mentioned that they're going to be leaving in the evening. They'll still do a few things tomorrow, but it doesn't look like things are going to be happening at Rowden Park. It does look like the big thing is going to happen tomorrow. And honestly, like, there hasn't really been much action since season 2 came back, which is fine because Uru has still been dropping a lot of information, a lot of good discussion chapters lately. And honestly, seeing John and Serafina hang out finally together, just having fun for once, was really nice to see. And I'm glad that she didn't make us wait. I'm glad that Uru didn't make us wait for the make us wait for the discussion between Sarah and Terence. So that was really good to see. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen? We may look at what John and Arlo are going to be keeping an eye on Remy and Blake, So yeah, Arlo may actually pull Remy aside and then leave John to keep an eye on Blake from a distance. So who knows? Who knows? Or, alternatively, they could say, Terrence could have just said, like, hey, like, we're not here to ruin your fun, like, don't worry. But then, chapter 249 comes, and all of a sudden, like, boom, like, Sarah tells John and Arlo, like, hey, like, let's meet up real quick, like, they should be safe, don't worry. And then once John and Arlo leave Blake and Remy alone respectively, boom, then Spectre makes their move against them. I don't know. Unlikely, but Uru, not the first time she would have thrown us a curveball. Anyway, that's going to be it for the review and discussion, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the chapter down below if you gave it a read. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would honestly give this chapter... I give this chapter an 8, actually. 8.5. Like I said, this was a really good information chapter. Not, like, we've had a lot of information dump chapters, a lot of discussion chapters. Practically only discussion chapters since, since the return. I'm not going to count that fight with Zeke as action because that was really just to show John growing as a person. Just to show him that, like, hey, he stopped. He realized he only needed to use very little force, and he solved it. But honestly, yeah, this was a really good chapter. Like I've been saying, really nice to see John and Sarah having fun together for once. And yeah. And also the conversation between Terence and Sarah was really nice. So hopefully all that was true. Hopefully Terence isn't just some kind of bitch ass, Hopefully he wasn't a liar. But he could be. Anyway, that's going to be it for the discussion, guys. I am looking forward to chapter 249. 249? What chapter are we on? Yeah, chapter 249. So, I will see you all then. Till next time, guys. See you, Space Cowboy.